WNBA star Brittney Griner expected to return to a Russian courtroom this week, and Griner has been detained inside of a Moscow jail for several months now for bringing vape cartridges containing cannabis oil. Back here in the U.S., lawmakers are pushing a bipartisan resolution now to try to free Griner. And correspondent Joe Khalil joining us now from Washington, D.C. Joe, Russian officials are firing back at the U.S., saying that this isn't a, quote, wrongful detention.
Yeah, they are. And it's really unbelievable the way that they're doing this, Natasha. As you mentioned, the trial of Brittney Griner is going to continue this Tuesday, and she is still in some serious trouble. She's facing up to 10 years behind bars in a Russian prison if she's convicted. But as you referenced off the top, the Russian Foreign Ministry, they are maintaining that her arrest and her detention are justified. But the way that they're maintaining that is through a statement that really took some cheap shots at the United States and at American law in general. The spokesperson for the department, the foreign ministry, is a woman named Maria Zakharova. And in her statement, she criticized all of the American officials who were saying that Griner's arrest was not justified and that the charges against her were trumped up. But here's what Zakharova said exactly in her own words. She says here, quote, "If a U.S. citizen was taken in connection with the fact that she was smuggling drugs, and she does not deny this, then this should be commensurate with our Russian local laws, not with those adopted in San Francisco, New York, and Washington." But then Zakharova went on to say that just because much of the U.S. has decriminalized marijuana and, quote, the whole country will become drug addicted, doesn't mean the rest of the world is going to follow the United States' example. Ouch. Well, Griner did plead guilty after her arrest in February for carrying 2 vape containers of cannabis oil. While there is some speculation about a possible prisoner swap between the United States and Russia to get Griner and possibly Paul Whelan, another American detained in Russia, back on American soil, we haven't heard anything official about whether or not that is going to happen. But the U.S. State Department, they maintain that Griner's arrest is not justified. They think that the charges against her have been trumped up. And just last week, the U.S. Senate passed a resolution calling for Griner to immediately be released and sent back to the United States. Natasha.
All right, Joe, and you referenced a possible prisoner swap to bring Brittney home. Do we have any details on what exactly that would look like?
Yeah, and I do want to be clear, there's just speculation. We've heard nothing official about it yet. But basically what that would be is Brittney Griner and, again, Paul Whelan, the other American who were detained in Russia, would be brought back to American soil. And in return, Russia would get Victor Bout back to Russian soil. Victor Bout is a very notorious arms dealer. He's currently facing a 25-year prison sentence in the United States for charges that were much more serious than what Griner is facing. His charges were for threatening to kill U.S. citizens and providing weapons and aid to terrorist organizations. So if that were to happen, those would be the parameters. But again, we haven't heard anything official about that. If it were to happen before this trial wraps up, the timeline is pretty quick because Griner's attorneys think that this trial is going to wrap up sometime in mid to late August.
Yeah, and Joe, that man you referenced, nicknamed the Merchant of Death, for the very serious charges that you are talking about. Hard to see how that is a fair trade. Joe, thank you so much. All right.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.